Hi and welcome to the latest game testing session of the Imperial Elves by epicwargaming.com. Right, also we're game testing other things in the new edition of the rules coming out soon. I don't know when they're ready really. They'll be coming out along with the Elves as well when the new Imperial Elves get released. And last week, or the week before last, we updated the line of sight, and this is really why this is quite a common situation which sort of happens in free play. It also happens in a lot of other war games as well, and it really annoys me. And this unit here of elves have just wiped out a unit of goblins, and they've charged in, overran it, and destroyed it, which is fine. But it's the goblins' next turn, and even though this unit is literally right next to them, you know, within spitting distance, they can't see them, and because this is the old 90-degree line of sight, they can't see, so they'd have to spend one turn turning round just to get into a position to see them. That's really silly if you ask me, because they would just know they were there and they just crash straight into them. So, the other week where we had a problem with dragons tiptoeing behind orcs, basically, you know, because the orcs don't see them, we went back to the drawing board and worked on this, and basically we separated a piece's awareness into two parts. One, the 90-degree primary vision, primary sense as it's there, 90-degree line of sight, and then a secondary senses which is made up of your hearing, your smell, your feeling, even that mystical, magical gut sense, you know, that sixth sense that you know something's there. So everything in this area, the very small area of awareness, 3 inches around a piece, the piece can still charge or turn and see or whatever. So if we go back to here and apply this, as you can see now, these goblins would be able to charge them because they're within the 3 inches of awareness. So basically, without wasting a turn turning round, they can charge them in the next turn, which is, as far as I'm concerned, should be the right thing to do anyway. Also today as well, we're also looking at all the new magic. Oh, well, before I jump on with that, yeah, I've opened up the full list of all the pieces to the game testers of the Imperial Elves, and so now the game testers have access to this piece here. It's called an Immortal, and basically it's like a timeless elf which lives in a tomb, and he only ever comes out to fight, and he's one of the very rare immortal elves, one of the last of his generation basically, and he is hard. I mean, he is unbelievably hard, and these are like old ancient warriors, supreme warriors basically. And the way that they fight is this is called a moon staff. It's a double-ended staff, and basically they don't use it as you would use an ordinary staff. They basically spin it round, and because they're like eternal creatures, they have a lifetime to master, or many lifetimes to master this staff. And they can even preempt other creatures' attacks as well. So what they do is they spin this disc round, they turn into sort of like a living cutting disc, and they literally go into units of infantry or cavalry and slice and dice them to pieces. But they're not invincible because they're still sort of, they're still single figures. They're not a dragon, so they're a 1 in 2 to kill, but they do have 5 attacks. And they are very fast, and they do have a very good combat rating as well. Anyway, going back to the magic items I was talking about before, yeah, at the moment when I re-release the magic items, I'm going to see if I can update it with like 20 to 30 new magic items as well, sort of more counter magic items. So with like the Eye of the Beholder, what you can do now is have the Ring of Shrouds, which hides things from the it's only 20 points, but it's a counter. I really like my game to have counters in it, so you can have one thing and then you can have a counter, and then you might be able to have a counter of a counter, and you can really try and outwit each other and what you've got basically. And that's the idea behind a lot of the new magic items which sort of coming out for free players. If you want to have a read through of the new magic items, you can do, because I put them on the Epic Wargaming forum, which you can find. I'll leave a link below, and you can go on there, you can have a look at the new magic items, and you can basically have you say if they're overpowered, underpowered or whatever, or you can even suggest some new ones which should sort of go into the game. I don't want to release too many into the game because it takes a long time for them to be game tested, because they're not used, as you can imagine, every single game. Anyway, on with the actual game test. It's me today. I'm playing with the I'm the Orcs today, 3,500 points, and I'm playing against Trish. He's also using a 1,000 point army, and this is the random terrain generator. This is what was generated. Very good for Trish today. He's over here, I'm over there. These ruins will be a problem for me because his immortals will be able to hide in them and sort of work his way down to my arm without me being able to target him properly. So that could be a problem. And as you can see, look at that. That is basically a nice little path there to get straight down to the bulk of my army, which will be there. That's going to be a problem later on. As you can see, this is Trish's army. I'm an orc sort of horde army, so as you can see, I rightly outnumber him. I'm also using the reinforcement rule, which is being game tested, will be released with the next edition, and I'm working in layers. So these guys are basically to soften him up, and these guys come in and finish him off. Trish is also using the reinforcement rule. That will be, he's got one reinforcing unit in case any of these units have too much of a kick in and they need reinforcing. Let's get a bit of a close look. Yep, all halberd men today. They're the Grand Guard, but they're playing the Enforcers today. Unit of Solus in front, very annoying. Over there, they're the new Imperial Shadowstalkers. The Gigors today are playing the Immortals today, because I haven't actually got any of these models ready yet. Will do though in the next few weeks. Yeah, just a big blob of orcs basically with the reinforcement rule and layers. I've got more archers today. I don't often use archers, but with the elves, if you keep hitting the elves, eventually you will get through to the fatally wounding front and you will start killing them. These guys, these slingers here, are brilliant against dragons or anything like that because they poison, and poison negates your save and you build up a poison on a target. I've also got hags, and they're also brilliant at wiping out big monstrous things. The orcs don't really have anything big and monstrous, but they do have counters like the slingers and the hags or anything, and they've got bulls, but they're not really on the same scale of either immortal or dragons or anything like that. They're initiates, but today I ran out of slingers, so they're more slingers, tabers, just generally a big blob of orcs. The elves surprised me today, and they generally move forward. If we go back to that other slide here, you can see he's already using the ruins there as cover for his Shadowstalkers, which I have to say are quite expensive really for what he's using them as a meat shield, and they're 20 points each. He could have used initiates, which are 3 points each, so that's a 200 point unit there, which he could have had for 30 points. He could have made a massive saving there in points. And as you can see, he's just generally moving forward. Usually the elves like to hang back. There you go, there's me, I'm moving up my nippers there. Nippers are rubbish really, but they are unbreakable and they will hold him up and tire him out for a few turns. These guys are sort of coming up, they're trying to jostle into position for a few shots. Going over the hill, I'm already encircling. This is the advantage with having a big horde army. You can encircle your more expensive, smaller opponents. Yeah, I've cast magic on them. As you can see, these guys are already being cut down with all the firepower here. But these are the guys you want here. Those in... Oh, they've now engaged. You see, they failed their bloodlust. They were also within the 3 inches of awareness as well, so I just charged them in basically, which wasn't a bad thing because really I want to start wearing these guys down. As you can see, I'm just sort of encircling them at the moment, blasting magic, pouring Solus. They're going to get it in the neck in a minute. This looks good for Triss. He's come over with his sorceress and he's exploded, and he wipes out all of them tabers. As you can see, what's happened here, just going off on one a little bit, but these poor Solus have been charged by... He's charged them in, or they've wandered in to come back because you can't charge them in, and he's actually charged them again, so they're dead basically. They will soon disappear. Look there, they've just been completely sandwiched and eaten alive, and now basically the big melee combat on turn 3, which is quite early, usually it's turn 4, all this sort of kicks off. He's charged his... Oh, look at what they've done to that unit there. They were... those alone have just hacked through 6 units of nippers, which are a 1 in 40 kills, so he's just completely leathered them. Now, even though he wipes out all the soulless, he made a big mistake. He broke the golden rule with character pieces. You never move them away from units because they become a target, and all these orc slingers here basically just slung it to death, and 1 or 2 got through the save, and it was just enough to kill the sorceress, and it is possible. So that's a big drawback to Trish now. He's lost half of his magic ability. Also, I have to say that Trish didn't have any magic counters at all. Basically, I had a free reign with my Iron Maiden, just blasting magic at Trish. Look, both these units here, the swords and enforcer, are ripping each other to shreds. But I will say, on my defence, I've got a the new ring of reanimation, so I'm actually getting 1 orc back a turn, or 1 orc saw back a turn, and I've also got a spell there, reanimation, which is slowly bringing back those saws. All this has been wiped out on one side. Those poor nippers just got absolutely murdered. But they did do the job. They held up these for an extra turn. These guys are going to get it next. There's no doubt about that. Does leave these guys free. These guys, he shouldn't have left these slingers here because they've got poisoned attacks and they're just basically slinging away. These guys, they're free. They did lose 1 Immortal along the way. They're not invincible. They are incredibly hard. But what they do to this unit, they basically half this unit. They go into the human cutting disc and they just absolutely murder that unit. But I did have a half-wit which exploded and did more harm than good, to be quite honest with you. 1 orc did manage to kill an Immortal, but look at all this all here. This is from 1 turn. They just slice this unit to pieces. 15 attacks. Each Immortal, by the way, has 5 attacks. They have nasty things. Gang, so we're all engaged here. He's looking quite good for me, I have to admit, at the moment. These guys are looking very close to, shoving these guys in there, those chariots. But look what he does here. He shoves these guys right here, and that's a problem. And he's also moved his sorceress out, who explodes and breathes fire. And the end result is both sides completely wiped. The chariots wipe out the shadow stalkers, and she wipes out the chariots afterwards. It includes a bolt. Sorcerers are brilliant mages, really, but he's broken the golden rule again. He's put her out on her own. There's a hag there. There's another hag hiding round over there. There's these slingers here. They've already killed. Well, the other guys killed. They're doing really well today. And she's now a target, and it's my turn next. Look there. She's already eyeing her up. Just looking a bit thin over here. Look, they've just completely killed that unit. Now they're eyeing up these guys. But again, the 3-inch rule comes in. So the next turn, 1 died because of poison, and that's what those slingers did over there. Poison doesn't always kick in straight away. Sometimes it takes a few turns for it to actually get you, but it does get you in the end. Yeah, she's dead. She came over there and blasted her with cracking reality. Yeah, these guys have now charged into this guy here is now virtually on his own. There's only 1 unit of elves holding up. All the elves are sort of breaking away. He's just in there fighting away. Those guys broke, but he's holding on. He's unbreakable. I have to say, he's killing about 5 spearmen a turn, literally on his own. But it's game over when those guys get in. They're in now, and he's still hanging on in there. This is his, and he just holds on to the last turn, but an orc saw kills him in the end, and that's the end of the game. It was a really good game test. I enjoyed it. I obviously won. There's the points there. A lot of the armour of brilliance, which explodes, is a waste of time at the moment. I need to go away and look at that. The Immortals, we worked it out actually. They killed about 1,000 figures during that game. They killed about 1,000 orcs, but they're not invincible and they need to be lowered down. So I'm going to put them down to about 180 for the next game test. That's generally it. So apart from tweaking a few of the new magic items and looking at the Immortals, lowering them down in cost, the new awareness rules is working just fine, to be quite honest with you, and it really does make the game a lot more realistic, which is great, because no longer can you have to spend an entire turn turning around just so you can see a piece. That's ridiculous, you know. I can understand if the piece is a long way away, fair enough, but if it's just behind you, you're gonna see it anyway. So it's really, as you saw in that game test, it works really well, the new rules anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that game test. I've got a bit of a sore throat, and I hope that didn't spoil it too much for you. But anyway, I hope to see you next week or the week after for the next game testing of the Imperial Elves. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.